Welcome to But Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. Here's what we are facing. Breaking news from D.C. An unprecedented leak from the typically extremely secretive machinations of the United States Supreme Court, or SCOTUS. Apparently, the Roe v. Wade decision, an established precedent for the past 49 years, may about to be discarded. For further details and implications for other previous established constitutional rights, stay tuned.
This is the best court money can buy.
Thanks, Citizens United.
Meanwhile, state officials in Texas are working to pull money away from companies accused of boycotting the oil and gas industry. It's part of a trend in some red states to target financial firms that practice climate-conscious investing.
So they want to discourage people being smart about climate change?
Or at least where they are investing, or maybe where they are not investing.
Last spring, when state politicians proposed the idea, it seemed simple. Texas public money, they said, should not go to groups that withhold business from oil and gas, one of Texas's biggest industries.
This bill sent a strong message to both Washington and Wall Street that if you boycott Texas energy, then Texas will boycott you.
But the task of finding who qualified for the boycott proved so complicated that the comptroller's office hired a consulting firm called MSCI to get a list of companies taking aggressive climate action. But as state officials negotiated a price, they realized that they could be breaking the law by trying to implement it. That's because MSCI itself has aggressive climate goals that may put it on the boycott list.
You're breaking your own law.
Emails obtained by the investigative reporting group Floodlight show how Texas state lawyers and MSCI had to come up with a workaround to the law in order to work together.
It's obviously intended to scare asset owners and asset managers into not divesting.
Similar rules have been proposed or adopted in at least 7 other Republican-led states.
In the end, fossil-free investing is not going anywhere. And if an investment company ends up on the Texas boycott list, that might just attract more business its way.
Well, my broker's E.F. Hutton, and Hutton says...
Next, it seems like current failing Russian President Vladimir Putin is getting more desperate as the sanctions for invading Ukraine really start to take effect. Case in point, Russian energy giant Gazprom says it has halted gas exports to Poland and Bulgaria over the country's refusal to pay for supplies in rubles.
Rubles?
Are they even considered currency anymore?
Apparently it is in Russia. The firm said services will not be restored until payments are made in the Russian currency. This comes after Putin ordered unfriendly countries to pay for gas in rubles.
So it looks like Russia has found a new use for itself.
An indispensable one.
What are you talking about?
Many of you at some time or the other must have gone through pain related to gas.
But that's not...
Passing gas is supernatural and common.
What is going on here?
Wait for it.
Essentially, Russia has become the equivalent to...
And now some good news about drunk driving.
Oh, this I gotta hear.
About 44 bottles of Scotch whiskey are shipped around the globe every second, making it the world's most internationally traded spirit and generating export revenues of $5.9 billion last year.
Nothing better than a little sipping whiskey.
But for every liter of whiskey, there's a huge amount of waste, around 2.5 kilograms of solid byproducts known as draff. Some is used for animal feed, some goes to landfill or is dumped in rivers and oceans.
Oh, that can't be good.
Can that be defined as alcohol abuse?
Now, one biofuel scientist has come up with a creative, high-value use for this waste. Martin Tangney of Scotland uses a fermentation process to transform whiskey byproducts into biochemicals that can replace some of the petrol and diesel used in cars and can be used to make other oil-based products too.
Petrol? What are we, in the UK now?
Sounds good, but biofuels aren't new.
True, but Tangney's goal was to find a cheap base material to make biofuels commercially viable, as well as more sustainable, and seeing the commercial potential, Tangney formed Celtic Renewables in 2011.
Or if you're from Boston, that's Celtic Renewables.
Okay. How does it work?
The startup uses a process known as acetone, butanol, ethanol, or ABE, fermentation, in which bacteria break down the sugars in the whiskey draft and pot ale into acids. They are in turn further broken down into solvents such as butanol and ethanol, which can be added to petrol or diesel to power a car. Celtic Renewables has demonstrated its fuel, driving an unmodified Ford on Scottish roads using 15% biobutanol made from whiskey.
Are you sure we got gasoline? If not, we can use some of the recipe.
Oh, no, I'm afraid you ladies aren't going anywhere tonight. Your battery's dead as a doornail.
The recipe would work in that too.
Alison Smith, a senior research associate at the Environmental Change Institute at the University of Oxford, warns that there are huge trade-offs and impacts on biodiversity, carbon storage, and food security, depending on the raw material. However, fuel made from genuine waste, such as whiskey byproducts, is probably the best possible kind of biofuel, she says, as it avoids these problems.
So if we buy more whiskey, we're actually helping the planet?
How many cases do I need to order?
Hide the rum.
Have a drink.
It's wicked hazy.
Yeah. But what's it called?
Whiskey. You're drunk. Put him right under the table.
Smells like hops.
Why is the rum always gone?
That's why. 3 shots of something called tequila.
I think beer most likely is better than being hit in the head with a hammer.
Well, it doesn't quite work like that, but Glenfiddich Distillery uses a biogas made on site from the byproducts of its own whiskey to power some of its trucks, reducing the truck's carbon emissions by 90% since 2008.
Drinks on the house.
The solvents from its fermentation can be used as an alternative to oil in plastics, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, clothing, and electronics, says Tangy. His company built Scotland's first biorefinery last year with the capacity to convert 50,000 metric tons of whiskey byproducts into biochemicals. Tangy says the plant will be fully operational later this year once testing is complete.
I'm more of a beer guy myself.
Or bourbon?
Romulan ale should be illegal.
It is.
This has been But Frankly Pierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. Gonna get high, man. I'm gonna get loose. Need me a triple shot of that juice. Gonna get drunk. Don't you have no fear. I want 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, 1 beer.
Well, that was very nice of him.
Indeed. Put it on Arthur's tab.
Thank you.